The definition of love can mean something totally different to someone else. With Noah, I depleted myself to give love to someone who wasn't ready to take that love. And his inability to take it made me lose sight of the fact that I am not defined by the love that others accept from me, but by the love that I have within me. Betrayal is so painful because at its core, it's a violation of trust. It happens in a relationship in which trust is expected and assumed. So when it's violated, we're often shocked. Hello, beautifuls. My name is Giselle, co-host of the Strong Sunflowers podcast and founder and CEO of the Create app, an app created specifically for content creators. So if you have a wedding, a baby shower, or an event, and you need people to get content of you, you can now find local content creators in your area using the app. I'm so excited for this project. And if you guys want to keep up with anything going on, follow us on Instagram. I'm so excited. But today we're gonna sit down and get cozy because if you've been keeping up with the Herreras, aka G is for growth, we're having a 30-day challenge, and I just posted the videos of what happened with my 4-year situationship and how it ended, which it's sad that it had to end that way, because I had a lot of love for that person. And even though I already got all of my frustrations out, I still feel like I'm gonna go boxing, for my solo date in February because I just need to get all those feelings and emotions out. But I also wanted to come back and center and focus on, making sure again that my heart doesn't freaking close down and get hard, because I am a lover girl through and through, and I don't want certain circumstances that happen in life to close me off to love and the way that I love deeply and openly. And yeah, I think the title of this video is like perfect. It's like, the problem was that I loved you more. And I feel like in relationships, we have to love each other the same amount, because when one person loves the other person more, I feel like it just doesn't work. And then you have the other person feeling like they gave too much or the other person gave too little. And as I heal and just let my body process this, because I feel like even though with everything that happened prior to that I forgave him, I felt like I never really felt those emotions and I never really processed it. And then now that it's over and it finished, the way that it finishes, like literally was like, babe, it literally finished just like it began. It was like okay, maybe you didn't really go through those emotions. And the way that I usually talk myself through situations like this is through books, because books are so healing for me. And it's funny that I started reading this book, The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. 10 out of 10. I totally recommend you read this book. But this is a book that I was reading when I first told him that I loved him. And when I was reading this book, it was talking about being able to love freely, being able to love unconditionally, in the sense that your love is not succumbed to someone loving you back. Just because someone doesn't love you doesn't mean that you don't love them. And it really talked about just being love. You yourself, your aura, who you are is just love. And it shouldn't matter the circumstances of if someone else loves you or not. And I remember I was in the car with my friend, and I was like, you know what? I don't care if this man doesn't love me. I love him. I do. So I'm going to tell him. And I was the first one to say I love you. And surprisingly, he said I love you back. I love you too. And even with that, when I read the 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty, he also talks about, what does love mean to you? The definition of love can mean something totally different to someone else. So in this whole scenario, I feel like, to me, again, I can only count on what I experience and my feelings and how I view life. It's like, love is loyalty. When you love someone, you're loyal to them. And it's also honesty and all these things. But if you're loyal to someone, you respect them. And he talks a lot about respect in this book and how love is respect. And when you don't respect someone, then you don't love them. And that wasn't the only book that talked about that. And Welcome Home also talks about that in her chapter when it comes to self-love. She says, the power is inside you. The love you have within you is your power, not what you get in return for it, not whether someone deems it worthy of being taken. With Noah, I depleted myself to give love to someone who wasn't ready to take that love. And his inability to take it made me lose sight of the fact that I am not defined by the love that others accept from me, but by the love that I have within me. If you were to spend the day cooking a meal for your partner to show them your gratitude and they came home and didn't even try it, how would you feel? Probably that meal and the time put in it was not valuable, right? Well, let's see if that's true. Does someone not eating it take away the nutritional value or how delicious it is? No. But your intention and end goal was to receive validation from your partner. To feel what you had to give was received by someone you care about. Because somehow that would mean there is value to what you have to offer, which means that you have value. What if your intention of cooking that meal was simply to cook the meal to your best of your abilities? Would you feel that it's worthless simply because someone, whoever that person is, didn't eat it? Probably not. You see, once we stop evaluating the worth of our love by who receives it, or whether it's received at all, or the type of reaction we get as a result of giving it, that's when we can see the worth of our love on our own, in our own home. Not through the lens that someone else in their own home is judging it with. If you made a pie and took it to your neighbor's home and they said, thank you, but we actually don't eat dessert, would you sit on their doorsteps waiting for them to change their mind, to eat in order for you to feel like the pie has value? The only time you actually linger in front of the neighbor's door is when you have no home to return to. But when you do have your own home, you'll be able to go back to it and eat the pie yourself, or serve it to someone who actually likes pie. That right there was an amazing analogy of, again, making sure that I keep my heart open. And just because I love somebody, not expecting anything in return. And if they did, great. If they didn't, like, I still have no regrets when it comes to the life that I have lived or the years that have passed. But what I was having a difficulty with was I still had that love for that person, even though that person continued with their actions to show me that they did not love me the way that I wanted to be loved, the way that I feel like I deserve to be loved, and especially the definition of what love means to me, which is loyalty. Another book that I go to often is Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown. And she basically goes over all the emotions that a human being can feel. And for the longest time, I didn't have the words to understand, like, how was I feeling? Because it's not anger. It's not like, I feel like a heartbreak. It wasn't any of those things, you know? And this book really gave definition to it. So in chapter 10, what she calls places we go when the heart is open. This chapter includes everything from love, lovelessness, heartbreak, trust, self-trust, betrayal, defensiveness, flooding, hurt. Certain quotes on here that stood out to me was, we cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen, known, and when we honor the spiritual connection that grows from that offering with trust, respect, kindness, and affection. Love is not something that we give or get. It is something that we nurture and grow. A connection that can be cultivated between two people only when it exists within each of them. We can love others only as much as we love ourselves. Shame, blame, disrespect, and betrayal are the withholding of affection and damages the roots from which the love grows. Love can survive these injuries only if they're acknowledged, healed, and rare. And there were a lot of times that I felt disrespected, but I think what hurt the most, and especially how it ended, right? Him going back to the same girl that he disrespected and betrayed me with. I think that's what stays in my heart the most, the betrayal. Because I felt like we had a love that was vulnerable, that was powerful, that was deep, that was intimate. But that's, again, my perspective, right? When I went through the book and she talked about heartbreak, because at first I thought that's what I was feeling, right? Heartbreak. It says, heartbreak is what happens when love is lost. And I felt for the longest time that it was not heartbreak because the love was not lost. Like, I still felt like I loved this person the same, you know? But I feel like heartbreak is what I feel right now because the love is lost. And coupled with betrayal, I'm just trying to feel all my emotions right now. The brokenhearted are the bravest amongst us because they dared to love. When I got to the part that resonated with me the most was when I got to the betrayal part. And it said, betrayal is so painful because at its core, it's a violation of trust. It happens in a relationship in which trust is expected and assumed. So when it's violated, we're often shocked. And we can struggle to believe what's happening. It can feel as if the ground beneath us has given away. And I think for me, that's the hardest part because, again, it was someone that I loved deeply. Someone that I felt like I had a very intimate connection with. Someone that I trusted. So the betrayal runs deep. So moving forward, healing those parts of my heart that were open, so I don't close them to the next person to come into my life. And also so I don't close them to myself. I think this next part is all about forgiveness. And not forgiveness for the other person, but forgiveness for me. Forgiveness for placing myself in the situation, even though I saw the red flags. Forgiving myself for not loving me more. I am extremely proud of the woman that I am, the woman that I have become, the things that I have learned, the things that I have gone through, the way that I love. That's something that I never want to change because I want my person. I want my person to be able to experience that. For them to be able to experience all of the love that I have to give. So the next chapter is forgiveness. So let's talk about it. I love you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.